So I want to talk about Jaxon Smith-Njigba because obviously I was around him a ton. I mean, I basically do Michigan and Ohio State games every week, right? And
I heard your mail gets
this
sent
year,
to Columbus now, by the way. Is that true?
it might.
Do people still do mail? I don't even know if that's a thing. Maybe we're aging ourselves. I don't know.
Probably not. Probably not. This year obviously hurt him.
Yeah.
But I thought last week was really big for Jaxon Smith-Njigba because for the first time since the season, I got the sense that people were like, oh, yeah, like he is really good. Oh, yeah, he was probably the best wide receiver that Ohio State had when they had Garrett Wilson and when they had Chris Olave. To those guys' admission, by the way, when I would talk to him. And I got the sense that he was one of those guys that really benefited from the combine, in particular after, basically not playing all year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. To me, he's an interesting evaluation because he's a slot. He's somebody he's incredibly strong. He's incredibly quick. He's got a great feel, the things we were just talking about. But there's times when you see him get out in the open where the difference between him and the other two guys in that Ohio State, they got open, it was over. They were gone, and they would get away from you. He's going to play in a little more he's going to play in a crowd, I think, a little bit more than those guys are, which is a good thing and a bad thing. He's not going to get the separation. I don't believe that those guys are able to get NFL, but he's stronger. He's got play strength. He's going to be able to work in crowds and have what we like to call those combat catches. He's going to be able to get that done. Now, he had an unbelievable shuttle times, had an outstanding field workout, which in some instances you can look at it and say, some people look at it and say, well, yeah, he's been training for this for the whole year. While other guys were playing football, he's been training for these tests.
This is true. By the way, I saw it.
So,
I saw him in the weight room training for these drills specifically back in October. So yes.
And that's his deal, and he aced them. The only thing is he didn't run a 40. So those other guys were 4.3 guys. They were legit in terms of their speed, and he still hasn't run yet.
He's not going to run. I don't think he's going to
Why would you? I don't. I mean, gosh, we're going to do the pro day, so let's talk about. But I don't. If you're not going to run on that track as fast as Indy has proven to be, with over the last couple of years and the times that are coming out of there, guys that don't run there, I think a couple of things. Number one, you're really hurt. Or number two, you're not fast and you're not going to run. Like that's what it is. So that's the tricky part of his evaluation. Like he is a really good player, but is this like of the caliber? I don't think he's as talented as those other two guys. Obviously, LSU guys that we've had recently with Jefferson and with Jamar Chase. Like he's not as dynamic. He's just not as dynamic as those guys.
Now, I do think he's going to lead the league in catches one of these next few years.
He'll be a high volume guy.
Because
that's literally in my report. Yeah.
Right? Like he's in the Cooper Kupp mold a little bit, but stronger. I think he can catch 120 passes, right? Like I legitimately believe that. The one thing I would leave you with is like it was my experience that when I would go up there and I would talk with the coaching staff, whether it was Coach Hartline or Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, and I would always press him. I was like, well, who's the one? Who's the alpha? Who's the guy? Who's the best player? And they would always kind of be like, Jaxon.
Mm-hmm.
Jaxon is. And when I would go and talk with opposing defensive coordinators, and I just said this on my last episode, DJ, they always started with him. Every one of them started with him. And I think it has something to do with production, and I get that. But there's a big part of me that thinks that even with where he's at right now in this evaluation for this year, that he's still being overlooked a little bit. I could be wrong, and I could just be a guy that's done a million Ohio State games.
No.
But there's part of me that thinks that.
Yeah, no, I think he's a really good player. I would circle back on Kupp. I have to go back and look up. I think Kupp's at least 15 pounds heavier than he is. So he's bigger than him. And Cooper, though, was interesting because he couldn't run vertically either. But he had unbelievable – his shuttle drills were the same. His shuttle drills were off the charts. I think they might have been the best in the class. Change direction, quickness, the polish, all that's there. I look at Smith-Njigba, and I see a guy who's another high-volume guy is Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Lions, who's been a really, really good player for them, young in his career. Is obviously shouldn't have fallen as far as he did in the draft. I think he might have had 100 catches this year. I think he will be a high volume guy. I really do. So I think it's a power statement to say somebody's going to lead the league in receptions. That's a power statement on your part, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think there's anything. I wouldn't fight you on that. I wouldn't. I could see that happening.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.